Now, going to the other end of the spectrum, what has Stateland been doing on the experimental side of things?
Well, what happened is because I did the Annabelle, and as I said, it's a portion of it's hand-picked and a barrel fermented. I obviously, this is not by accident, but it sounds good this way.
Yeah.
But I obviously got to taste the barrel components time and time again. You go almost weekly, fortnightly, go, is this still going in the right direction, etc. And the barrel component, and I'm not the only one. Yes, you are Stateland, but if you would have this conversation with the other 30 or 40 winemakers in Marlborough, they'd all have something in the cellar, in a nice clean corner or in a tank or whatever, where they think, what would happen if I do 100% handpick of Sauvignon Blanc?
Yep.
So very little contact of the juice with the herbaceous outside and the dirty outside of the grapes. And I would put it 100% in new oak. That was the thought part of Cloudy Bay when they created Tococo.
Yes, I remember, yeah.
What would happen if I give it huge skin contact? So you go the other way. Instead of no skin contact, you put the whole wine back on its skins and see what happens then. You get a hyper vegetative wine and anything in between. I decided that because I had already started experimenting with, for the Annabelle, to add a portion of that hand-picked old puncheon fermented fruit, to expand on that with different vineyard parcels, etc. And in, I think it was 2008, I launched a tiny quantity of what we call the Duchess. I've run out of daughters, so I have the Annabelle on that wine, and I have a Chardonnay, that's a Josephine, and that's my daughter's done. So the Duchess is sort of the grand lady of Sauvignon Blanc. This is 100% handpicked, 100% fermented in these puncheons, some with butternage, you know, the thing to lees stirring to increase the creaminess and get a little swoop.
I was going to ask you about lees and what kind of role that plays in this particular wine.
An important role, because that sort of enhanced creaminess doesn't come natural. Well, it comes natural. It's a natural. Natural. I move my arms too much. It's a natural, of course, flesh of the grape that goes down, and when the fermentation cells drop down, you get some fermentation lees as well. If you stir that back in, you get quite a nice creamy feeling. So lees are very important, and to keep them mobile in the wine also serves as a protective agent.
Yes.
The more lees are in suspension, the less the wine is going to take up too much oxygen or whatever. There is a bit of, in barrels, of course, especially in old barrels, there is a bit of oxygen uptake, which makes sometimes people say, and I'm not trying to put people off, but this is sort of like Chardonnay work done on Sauvignon Blanc grapes.
I understand, yes.
Well, you do a whole bunch, pressing off juice into barrels, etc. Now, I would say it's almost like, maybe I should say it's Chablis style Chardonnay work done on Sauvignon Blanc.
I understand,
because,
yes. I think that, yeah.
You know, because we're trying to stay away from new oak, we start away from oak influence, or even Chablis has some oak fermentation styles, etc., in larger vessels. This is we do 500-600 cases of this. The mother company that brings this wine is the agent between the LCBO and myself, brings in a little bit of this recently to experiment with it.
Yes.
How the market is reacting because it will never overtake the market of the whatever the connoisseur style or the wild classical style of Sauvignon Blanc, because that is what people are known for. This is, if I would put this in a and I think when you came here, I did. I put some of these.
Yes.
Yeah, and the whole 10 people said, "What the number 10, Ruud? What the hell is number 10?" And that was this style. So in a restaurant, you can't put it on the wine list under regular Sauvignon Blancs. It needs to be put under whatever a chapter in the restaurant that explained.
Now, getting back to the Annabelle for a second, is there a lease component to the Annabelle at all?
Well, in that 10% that comes from barrel fermentation, there is a lease component, and that is what I said earlier. Being on the slope, if it becomes too leesy,
yes,
then you lose. So I have reduced the leesy components in Annabelle to just give this creamy outer texture on the fruit that is so powerful.
I understand,
but not to camouflage it. Whereas in the Duchess, we're going for a whole different flavor composition, for a whole different food combinations as well.
Speaking of food combinations, you've done so many winemakers' dinners, restaurant dinners, all of this sort of stuff over the years. If you were to pair these 3 different styles of your Sauvignon Blanc with different dishes, where would you be going with those?
The classical style is the classical combination with, fresh oysters, mussels, and I'm thinking about the Canadian. Well, you've got oysters in Canada. The Canadian context of that. The Annabelle has got quite a wider food appeal.
Yeah.
But in my mind, is also a wine, and this is un-French to say this, that can be drunk totally by itself. It's a wine that can actually be totally done as an aperitif wine. Just talk and open the bottle and drink it without food. But so the Annabelle goes more towards the tougher fish dishes, the more the fish, the proper fish dish instead of the shellfish food combinations, and can also go with lighter cheeses. The Duchess is a whole that's more fried fish, saumonier and all that sort of stuff that goes with.
Now, you said the 2023, you're just going to start doing the assemblage on that. How do you feel the 23 vintage has been thus far? How does it look?
In a historical perspective, the COVID years, 2020, if you want to call the 19 halves, which we obviously worked on in 20. So 19, 20, and 21 were, for some strange reason, there's all very small vintage crops. And if you do by nature crop productions, then life is very simple for a winemaker, because everything is probably quite fantastic already coming into the winery. 2022 and 2023 have both been more challenging vintages. I very happy grape growers, because the crops went up again, so the growers are happy. The winemakers, that's fine. That's why we get paid these huge dollars. The winemakers had to work harder to select the parcels of the vineyard, what to do, etc. So 2022 and 2023 are actually quite nice vintages overall, but there is more, and I always say this, there is more quality, there is more breadth, width in the tasting profiles of the wines. Whenever size of a vintage, if a production narrows, it becomes a narrow and mostly higher quality bandwidth.
Yes.
If you get more grapes, there is more mediocre fruit and there is more superb fruit. So it just depends what you're buying. And I'm talking not as a Staete guy, I'm talking in general. But there, of course, Staete, you're talking to a boutique here. Staete has the opportunity to choose the right parcels and treat them properly all the way through. But there are like the lazy years of 19, 20, 21, which is sort of convenient because we were working under serious COVID constraints in the winery. But we had it viticulturally, we had it easy in these years as winemakers. As growers, it was terrible because the crops were small. But as winemakers, oh yeah, ooh, that's nice. Ooh, yeah.
Well, I am looking forward to tasting your 2023s when they hit the shores over here. Hopefully you'll be coming to Ontario at some point in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we have to arrange another glass of wine together because it's been way too long. Hey,
yes, of course. And we bring the Pinots and the whole thing as well. Yes, absolutely.
Ruud, thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution once again. And we look forward to catching up with you very soon. Thank you. Bye for now.
Jamie, thank you.